Hi everyone, welcome to I Am Illuminated Tarot and meaning-based spiritual coaching services. These messages are for all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Tauruses for the month of June 2021. All of my readings focus on the Triad of Engagement, which are three basic principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation that when applied together keep the wheels of your internal self engaged with the wheels of your external environment. And this is meant to keep you fully engaged and in flow with the unique energetic imprint and cycles of your life. All readings are here to help you answer your own I am question so that you can re-engage with life in a more authentic, meaningful, and emotionally fulfilling way. If you have any additional interest in learning more about the Triad of Engagement and how these three principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation can help liberate you from feelings of frustration, anxiety, and detachment, and reconnect you with the feelings of purpose, meaning, and emotional fulfillment, you can click on the link below to watch a video where I dive a little deeper into these three concepts, or you can click on another link below to take a look at my Patreon page where there is additional information posted each month with interactive, I call them worksheets, but that doesn't make them sound very exciting, but interactive exercises that can help teach these principles but also allow you to integrate them into your life, as well as links to my website, which you can book your own personal reading or one-on-one spiritual coaching session. All right, Taurus, let's get right into your reading for June 2021. So how these readings work, we pull spread for curiosity, we pull spread for courage, and I always bring in courageous action with courage and contemplation. So we focus on looking at these three principles through the cards and look at how we can utilize what's coming through for you to help prepare you for the month ahead and to allow you to take a look at areas where you can stay curious, you can take action, and you can reflect and integrate. So first we're going to pull a card here for curiosity. Now curiosity, the principle of curiosity in general, is focusing on optimism, openness, receptivity. I like to mention, and actually we have three cards here. I'm actually going to go ahead and it's a little bit Taurus. I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get at least one less card there for you. But curiosity is about kind of reconnecting you with a sense of awe and wonder. It also is the element of what I like to describe as destiny in the dynamic interplay between destiny and free will. So curiosity is the destiny portion of this. This is where we have to stay open, have a childlike sense of awe and wonder, and not assuming that we know everything that is going to be. So here we have for the underlying energy for curiosity, we have woman holding a coin, number 42, and man holding a coin, number 43. Very interesting. So this really plays into, there's a relationship theme here going on for the month of June, which is actually right in line with the numerology of the month of June. For anybody who's interested in numerology, June is a universal number 2 month, which is about connecting yourself with others. It's the dynamic interplay between you versus them, so to speak, but it's also about that element of connecting with others to work together. And I think this is really kind of tapping into that. Okay, so now we're going to pull some underlying energy. Well, I guess we'll take these two that just popped right out for courage. So courage is going to be really looking at action, initiation, expression. This is where we take action. If this is destiny, courage is your free will. This is where we look to actually work with destiny to build our reality. And again, if you think of your internal wheel with the external circumstances, this is where the teeth engage. And now I'm going to pull an extra card for contemplation. Now, contemplation is bringing in the elements of reflection, integration, and this is a few too many. Cards are very talkative for you, Taurus. This is going to be, I feel, a very energetically busy month for you guys. Let's see what else comes out for you. So contemplation is really where we learn our lessons and we apply them. That's why integration is one of the biggest elements of contemplation that I focus on, because this is really the key to, once you're engaged and you've taken action, this is that last part, that key that unlocks change, growth, transcendence. And let's see what Spirit would like to focus on for you for the month of June. And now, suddenly, after saying you guys are so talkative, now cards are staying quiet. And actually, I'm going to go with this one since it's stuck out here. So we have patience, number 16. And the bottom of the deck for this top card here is going to be community, number 7. Okay, now I'm going to pull some clarifying cards for each principle here. So I'm going to pull clarifying cards, advice from Spirit for what came out for curiosity, where you're going to stay open, where you're going to stay receptive, where you're going to start to become ready to take action. So we have 3 cards that came out, which is very interesting. You have, again, a big spread this month. So we have believe, we have intuitive nudges, and we have cleanse. And we'll go into each one of these. Okay, and then we have courage. So again, this is going to be where there's movement, action, initiation, expression. So keeping in mind, and well, I guess we'll take all of them. We have take a moment, we have trust, and we have just ask. And then for patience, for our contemplation, let's see what the advice from Spirit is. So contemplation also really harnesses the element of responsibility, because this is where we take a look and we reflect. Ooh, that's a little too much there. We reflect on the consequences of the actions we have taken. And then this is where we learn the lessons. We took action, and now we contemplate on what happened, and we take responsibility then for integrating and looking at the lessons that we learned from the actions that we've taken, and really applying them to our life, whether good or bad. And when I say bad, there really is no bad when you're looking at lessons. It's more about being honest with yourself and seeing this did work or this did not. And now that I know this information, I am more educated and can now utilize this information on the next kind of turn of the wheel. So we have listen and we have embrace the moment. And one last card from Spirit here for each category. So we're going to get one more for curiosity. And I'm going to go ahead and pull. These are a little harder for me. They're stiffer cards, harder for me to shuffle, so we'll pull one. Okay, so we have you're already doing it. Stop overthinking. Keep facing your true north. For courageous action, we have trust the niggle. What is that niggling feeling trying to tell you? And then for contemplation, we have awakening, energetic upgrades, a new way of being and integration. How fitting. Okay, an underlying energy, I'm going to put these over here. We have reach out, and we have trust your path. If you knew you were supported, what would you do? All right, Taurus, this is going to be a fun reading. Okay, so the way I start is I will kind of go over what I intuitively see here in the cards. I will also read for you the top main energy for each principle. I will read from the book itself because I do feel that there are some elements that come through that sometimes tie these all in together that perhaps I can't express as well. Okay, so we're going to start here with curiosity. So keeping in mind, this is really where we engage with that element of the unknown. This is what I consider that part of ourselves that will always be unexplained because it connects directly to what I consider source energy, spirit, God, the universe, whatever you deem as the unknown. And this is what I look at as destiny. It is that element that connects us all, and it is part of the grand design. So this is why we have to really engage with that sense of awe and wonder, that childlike openness to what can be, because we don't know the grand design, and we will never as humans know everything about existence. So this is where we have to stay open, but bringing in that element of optimism and receptivity, because if we are constantly afraid of the unknown, that's where we block ourselves from engagement. We stop ourselves even before we get to the point where we start to have more control, where we start to be able to direct our lives in flow with destiny, in flow with the design that is meant for us. So here we have woman holding a coin and man holding a coin. Now, right off the bat, I'm looking at this as a relationship message. This is feminine energy with masculine energy. And when I talk about feminine and masculine, this does not have to be specific to male and female. When we say masculine and feminine, feminine tends to be more of a receptive energy. Masculine is more of a doing energy. Now, it's not to say that those who are feminine or strong in their feminine energies cannot do, or vice versa, that men who are strong or masculine, that masculine energies are not going to be receptive. But there is a dynamic. There's always going to be, a balance between receptivity and doing. And so feminine and masculine are terms that we have given to those two sides of our physical experience of life. So receptive and doing, and kind of pushing ahead. Now, the fact that they're both holding a coin, in the tarot, coins generally relate to pentacles, and pentacles relate to the physical. They relate to the tangible part of our experience. And really what I'm picking up intuitively here is that really where you need to stay open and be curious, and what the universe is bringing in for you this month is really that connection between the two energies, but specifically you in relationship to a significant other. Now, this doesn't, if you're not in a relationship, it doesn't mean that this isn't going to apply to you. This can be you potentially meeting somebody. This can be your relationship with another whether you're female or male, masculine or feminine, and you identify more with one or the other. This could be you realizing how you play and what your interplay is with the other energy. So if you identify more with masculine, then what is your relationship to those who are feminine, and vice versa? A good example of this would be, let's say you do identify more with the feminine energies. You are more of a receptive person. You perhaps tap into your creativity, and you've realized that perhaps you feel threatened by masculine energy, or you have not really tapped into the masculine side of yourself, and you have perhaps been receiving too much versus complementing that with doing, or vice versa. Perhaps you've been sitting too much with masculine energy and you have been focusing not enough on receiving, not enough on just creating for the sake of creating, and you've kind of just been pushing through. So this is really looking at not only your interplay with, a male or a female, feminine or masculine energies in relationships with people, but it's also about how this is affecting your tangible life, how this is affecting your physical life. And I really feel that this month is going to be about you staying open to allowing yourself, because I'm looking at when we come down here, allowing yourself to stay open to the other half. So if you are in a relationship, this is really going to be a month where you're going to want to stay open to what your partner is offering, is bringing into the relationship. Stay open to bringing what you feel perhaps is your side to that relationship. So let's say you're staying curious about you and your significant other, and you've realized, okay, I seem to be playing the role of the masculine energy in this relationship. Well, this is a point where it's time to then also honor the other person who is in that relationship and the energies that they bring to the table, and how you can complement that while also staying open to what they bring to the table, but also not losing yourself, because that tends to be the struggle in relationships. We tend to want to take a lot of action or a lot of non-action in relationships. We are either the ones feeling that we have to kind of push forward and assert ourselves, or we're the ones that sit back and feel almost like we're victims in our own circumstances, in our own relationships, because we're letting somebody else take the wheel. And this is showing a very balanced couple. They both are holding their own coin. They both are very well situated in and of themselves. So that's another message here, is really to say, these two here are both going to be very healthy and whole in themselves. Now, we all carry masculine and feminine energy inside of ourselves. We can all be receptive and we can all push ahead. But really, it's more about seeing how those two parts within yourself, how those energies are expressed when you're in relationship with another person. And so this is really where you need to stay curious, because the fact that they're both holding coins, and it really does kind of bring us back to the pentacle element of the tarot, that this is going to be directly impacting your tangible reality, which can mean your finances, your home life, even your work life, anything that can have something that you can touch and feel and grow here in the physical. And coming down into what is the advice from Spirit, we have believe. And believe says, the force that works through your soul, determining what's possible or impossible. The difference between success over failure, and above all, who you are, is the power of your belief. combined with intuitive nudges. Intuition is a language of the soul. We are all born aware with a profound sense of inner knowing. Intuition is one of the greatest gifts we possess, which keeps us connected to our higher selves, the universe, and to our divine spirit. Now, just looking at these two cards here, what I'm feeling is there is this element of perhaps a push and pull in your relationships this month, to whether it's your significant relationship or it could be just a significant relationship in general. So this could be you with a parental figure that you're very close with, you with a friendship that you're very close with, you with a potential new partnership coming your way. And really understanding how you work with people, how you bring yourself into this, but being open to what the other person brings, how they complement what you bring. And this belief card is, especially when you look at the difference between success over failure, and above all who you are, is the power of your belief. What do you believe? And that's a great thing to look at here, to stay open to. What are your beliefs versus what is somebody else's beliefs? And how are you able to stay in a position of power for yourself, strong in your own beliefs of what you're capable of and what you bring to any situation, circumstance, and partnership? Again, be it romantic or work-related or familial, but also connecting that to your ability to connect with your own intuition, with knowing what feels right for you, with your connection to spirit, and how you express these beliefs and bring these into your relationships. And also, what do you believe out of your relationships? Do you go into relationships, especially with a significant other, wary of what can be? Do you have walls up from past emotional hurts that are preventing you from being receptive and open and optimistic to what you both can achieve together? And I think that's a very hard thing for a lot of people to focus on here, is we bring a lot of baggage into our relationships because of past hurts, because of past failures. And instead of moving forward and looking at each new relationship as fresh with all the potential for greatness and support and love, we come in with either one foot out the door or a wall that's already blocking us from our ability to fully stay open to what another can bring to the table in a relationship. And that's really where I feel this third card comes in, which is cleanse. And it says, your body, mind, and soul are urging you to take time out for some much needed cleansing. Just as you wash your car, clean the house, or tidy your office, your body also needs care and attention. It's time for some spiritual, emotional, and physical cleansing. And I think that's kind of beautiful here, saying once you take a look at your beliefs and you tap into your intuition, and your intuition is that part of yourself that connects directly to your emotional core. And that's why I really focus a lot on my teachings and in my coaching practice, as well as even what I bring in here in my tarot readings, really bringing in the importance of bringing thoughts and actions into your emotional core, because this is where we tap into making real for us what feels good and what doesn't. And that is your intuition. When you can tap into the feeling of, ooh, this doesn't feel right for me, or ooh, this feels fantastic, that is flexing that muscle of intuition. So once you kind of start to really feel into what you believe and believe that what you bring to relationships is just as important as to what somebody else brings in equally, then it's time to cleanse. It's time to really sit and be open to destiny, be open to spirit, be open to who has been brought into your life, who is coming into your life, and why these relationships are there. What are they showing to you? What are you learning from them? And how are they highlighting and elevating your experience? And how can you release and cleanse away the negative elements of your past that perhaps you have brought forward? Now, this can be negative thought patterns of, I was hurt in the past and I will probably be hurt in the future, or I feel like we have so many, we're a culture nowadays of people who, and myself included, have really become so negative in our own self-talk. And yet we're constantly bolstering other people. We're constantly telling other people, you're great, you're wonderful, keep at it, you can do it. But then when it comes to ourselves, we don't do the same. And sometimes when we look to tap into ourselves, we realize that we have forgotten how to believe in ourselves and how to believe in others, because we have put up so many barriers. And we are expecting the worst of somebody instead of expecting the best. And ourselves included, people will rise to the occasion as to the expectations that are put on them. So if you expect that something negative is going to happen, generally it will. Or if you're expecting the worst from somebody else, oftentimes, and this can be completely subconscious, they may not be doing it on purpose, but they will live up to your expectation of them. So if you tell somebody, well, I know you're probably going to hurt me at some point, a lot of times that person is going to be sitting with that, and it might imprint on them, I'm trying not to hurt them, I'm trying not to hurt them. But in hyper focusing on trying not to hurt somebody, inadvertently they can hurt that person because they're so focused on not bringing themselves into the equation and are hyper focusing on the other person. And in reality, a healthy relationship is a balance between two people being their authentic selves, and hoping that that is enough, and staying optimistic that that is enough of a benefit to the other person. So this is not about applying your own beliefs, your own opinions on somebody else. This is about you being confident and being open to being vulnerable. This is really showing me there's an element of vulnerability. And with this last card here, we have, you're already doing it. Stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. And that really plays into here, because I see here a strong relationship, an equal partnership that is directly affecting your physical world in a beneficial way. These are two very healthy, whole people coming together. Now, it doesn't have to be a man and a woman. These can be two women, two men. But again, it's the equaling out of the energies of what two people bring together to create a whole. Now, we can be whole in ourselves, but when we decide to interact with somebody else, there is always going to be a dynamic energy, a balance that comes into play. And how we feel, the feelings of peace and flow and ease, are when that natural balance occurs. So really here this month, curiosity and openness and receptivity and that readiness and intent coming from the destiny component of kind of what's preordained here is really focusing on you and how you interact in your relationships, and finding that element of balance, finding that element of belief, tapping back into knowing what feels good, what do you believe, and cleansing that part of yourself to release old fears and wounds so that you can walk forward as a fully functioning half of whatever whole you're working, whatever you're working as far as the whole to a balance of a relationship here. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the messages that go with each of these, and we'll see what comes up here. So we have woman holding a coin is focused on female connection and money, health, and value. The elegantly dressed woman on this card sits on a beautiful chair holding a bright gold coin. When the card comes upright in a woman's reading, it may refer to her directly and to a successful endeavor regarding her own finances or health. This card could also signal a woman of support or assistance regarding these issues. She may give you financial advice or connect you with someone who does. This woman may be someone you meet where you make your money, or it may be a woman of wealth and value. Either way, this card is telling you to be on the lookout for helpful assistance or even the possibility of new love or friendship connected to a woman of wealth or business. Very interesting. Now again, as you can see, it's really focused on the tangible, the coins, wealth, the element of the physical that we bring in here that we would consider abundance. So that's one side of this. So it's really showing that, okay, this is a very strong, successful, abundant female energy. And then coupled with man holding a coin. So this is male connection in money, health, and value. This card shows a man sitting in a lushly flowering field holding a large, bright coin. For men, this could indicate an aspect of yourself and a readiness to further your goals and receive increased health, money, or value in your life. Greater success is on its way when you take control of your own finances and act. This card upright could also reveal the assistance of a financial advisor or healer whom you already know or are soon to meet. This man is helpful and may bring sage advice concerning action you need to take next. Be open to this person showing up with support, but always turn to your own intuitive guidance to weigh the information you receive. This could also signify a new love interest with a wealthy man or a man from work. So again, really focusing on the wealth element of this, but also focusing on, being receptive to help as well. So this is really showing that dynamic element of, okay, it looks like destiny is bringing in relationships that are going to be supportive starting in the month of June. And so this is really going to be that point of kind of getting yourself ready. So again, the curiosity principle is about getting yourself ready to take action, getting yourself prepared with an intent. So in staying open to this element of connectivity in relationships and who you are as you come into them and looking to balance out yourself with another, really look to focus on as you start this month, as I kick the camera, as you start this month through meditation or just as you can journal, whatever you do as far as a reflective exercise, look at where you are bringing in negative thought patterns or beliefs, both of self and of others, and how you can remove those. And this is where you're going to need to tap into that childlike sense of awe and wonder with every single person you are prepared, or with every single person that you will meet this month. So from the person that you meet in line at the grocery store to the new coworker you get introduced to, these are all people who are going to benefit you in the physical. And you have to bring that optimistic, cleansed element of, I'm so excited to meet this person because I'm excited to see how they're going to benefit, how our relationship is going to be mutually beneficial, and how this is going to affect my abundance moving forward. Now we come here, as we've prepared ourselves here to stay open to the beauty of a balanced relationship and the abundance that comes from that, we move into then where we focus on courage. And I lump courage with action because I believe that no action is taken, whether small or large, without extreme courage. And this can be an action as large as leaving a 9-to-5 to start your own business. This action could be as small as making that decision to get out of bed in the morning. And all of these actions, as we tap into that courage to keep taking action, this is where our free will comes into play. This is where we are able to take advantage of destiny, of the grand design that we are always staying open to, and understand that we do not understand and will never understand the full complexity of the grand design. But at least here we can engage with it. And this is our seat of power. This is our seat of eliminating anxiety and frustration and detachment, because this is where we get to make choices. This is where we get to dive into our intuition and understand that we can stay open to all the opportunities that the universe will bring to us, but if we don't choose to take action every day in many different ways and from a place of confidence and courage, we will never engage. We will never engage our internal cog with the external cog of life. And this is where days, weeks, months, years slip by without us realizing. This is where we can lack engagement and wake up almost like out of a fog after 10 years and realize, oh my gosh, I don't even know who I am. And I don't even know why I'm here, and I don't even recognize my circumstances. So for you, courage is really, again, focusing on action. This is movement. This is expression, initiation. And this is also a seat of innovation. This is really where we can come up with our aha moments and deciding to take action. Then we can start to engage with our external environment and start to realize, okay, what's our effect on the external environment? So we start here for courage for you for the month of June with attachment and the temple path. Now, intuitively, attachment to me is, what are you still holding? Sorry, I take a drink of water here. What are you holding on to? Now, in this card, she's holding up a mask and looking at it. And I really feel that this is saying, what are you still holding on to that perhaps feels like a mask to you? That perhaps who you were in relationships previous, maybe you had to hide a portion of yourself. Maybe you were attached to a specific way that others saw you. Or you felt that you had to hide a part of yourself because you maybe didn't get the best reception from trying to show your true self to others. And so you put on this mask and you became attached to that. You became attached to the security that it gave you. And we all do that at some point. And I think a lot of us learn this very early on in our lives. We will, it could be as early as elementary school, where we perhaps get chastised or made fun of for showing a part of ourselves that perhaps we're, not mature enough to express correctly. And so we hide that part of ourselves. And we stop taking action from that part of ourselves, which then prevents us from fully engaging our internal gears in an authentic way. It's almost like we will engage, but it's like we're slipping. And we can't quite, every once in a while we'll click, but in between those clicks, it's a lot of grinding. And that grinding is spiritual. It's almost like spiritual sandpaper. That's where frustration comes from, is that little bit of irritation, that grinding where you're not your authentic self. So everything you do has a little level of spiritual irritation. And this is where, when we look at courage, this is where that irritation can either A, prevent us from actually being able to feel clearly our intuition. It's almost like having a wound that's constantly being rubbed open again. And you're more aware of the wound than you are of the rest of your body and the health of the rest of your body. And that is where this attachment and this sense of masking your true self can really become a dangerous element in preventing us from, again, engaging ourselves authentically. And coupled with the temple path, now for me the temple path in this deck really focuses on this element of faith. And I think it's beautiful because for me, curiosity really focuses on that sense of awe and wonder, and courage focuses on that sense of faith. Because anytime we decide to take action, that we tap into the element of faith, the faith that we're choosing to take action with faith that there will be a positive outcome. And without faith, we don't tap into hope. And this is also where we can really start to flounder and fall into that anxiety and depression and detachment feeling in life, because we are not tapping into faith. We start to lose that, and again, there's that slipping of the gears. So the temple path for me is really tapping into that element of faith that you are on the right path, that and here I look at these beautiful little, almost like Chinese lanterns, that these are the guiding lights that are always around you, be it spirit, be it the spirits of your maybe passed on loved ones, or even just whatever you consider spiritual. And it could just be simply an energetic connection between everything. But there is this element here of this month in June where you are going to be taking action. It's really about being able to release the attachment to the person that you've felt you've had to be, to the person that had to create the mask based off of previous hurts and wounds, and having full faith that there is a path for you, there is a divine plan for you, and you're on it. So you can release this because this is where you're heading, safe and secure among your decisions, among your actions. Now, the 3 cards that came up are take a moment, stop. Now is not the time to rush into the decision you're about to make. Before this important decision is made, take a moment to pause and quiet your mind so that you can ask your soul for guidance before you act or move forward. So this is really, I think, great in showing that this is a point of taking action here for you. And it's time to, perhaps you feel like, and perhaps this is something you've done before up until this point, I'm just going to rush in and make a decision and take action, and I'm not really going to think this through into how does this feel for me? And does it even resonate with who I really authentically am? What is the path I'm on? What is the path I want to be on? And I think that this is the biggest thing. When we decide to put a mask on ourselves and we decide to stay attached to an image that we feel we have to put out there for others, or an image that we want to have accepted by others, but that does not feel authentic to us, we can choose a path or find ourselves in a path that doesn't feel right for ourselves. And that is kind of interesting here, that it shows almost like the spiral down here, where we can almost feel like we're walking in a circle with our true, ability to realize peace and contentment and everything we've been working towards is right there, but yet we're sitting here just walking in a circle. And it's almost like if you release that mask, you can see clearly that you're right there, that all you have to do is walk up those steps and be in that place of, when we look at the temple element of this, be in that place where you honor yourself. But you honor yourself from a place that is balanced, that doesn't hurt another, that This isn't about you taking off a mask and saying, haha, finally I get to be myself and screw you, this is who I am. It's about balancing out that element of faith, of quiet faith. If you notice people that you've met in your life who have faith, whether it's from a religion that they follow or a spiritual practice of some kind, they tend to be more quiet. They're not the people who tend to argue, who tend to want to prove their points or live lifestyles that are kind of in your face, showing you what they do and what they believe. It's more about this element of peace and fulfillment of this is who I am and I'm confident in it. And you feel that when you're around somebody who has a deep sense of faith in life, and that's where they act from. And that's really where I feel like this is kind of telling you to say, okay, if you're going to take the mask off and you're going to step back into your seat of personal power, take a moment. Don't go rush out there and this is who I am and blah, 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 blah. Like, take it or leave it. It's more about starting to integrate that into your life in small ways. So in this month, especially considering this month is all about connection, it's about that energetic number 2, which is 1 and 1 together, equaling 2. What are you bringing into every situation? What are you, who are you? And how are you showing that in every little action that you take? Because then we have trust. While your logical mind is dictating a supposedly clear direction, your soul's inner guidance is urging you to follow an alternative path. The logical path may be one that you consider safe and more familiar, but you could be missing out on boundless opportunities and so much more. And these come together in, trust and faith. Believe that this is about moving past what your mind is, again, the mind is directly connected to what we stay attached to. Because the mind is going to tell us all kinds of things. The mind is the seat of worry. This is the what if zone. What if I take my mask off and nobody likes me? What if I, decide to choose to do something and nobody likes it? What if I decide to release an attachment to someone or something and it doesn't work out? And really what this is saying is it's time to tap back into you. As you take that mask off, you're coming forward as yourself, your truest, authentic self. And you're going to have to just trust, have faith that alone and just being you and just acting from a place of being you authentically is going to take you from circling right here. It's going to show you the arrow of the staircase and the big neon lights saying, here it is. Here's your temple. Here is where you were trying to get to and couldn't quite see. And it's about really tapping into that internal compass. Now, sometimes we can say that's, it's easier or it's harder than it sounds, right? Because again, our mind comes in there. And all of these years, when we think about a mask, this isn't just about, a single layer or a little mask we put on. The older we get, the more layers of masking. We almost become like a a very thick paper mache version of ourselves. If you guys have ever worked with paper mache, it's where you're layering elements of paper that have been dipped in a binding agent, and you're going over and over and over. So this thing, you're building a structure that gets thicker and thicker and thicker. And that's kind of what happens with this mask. We put on this mask that ends up covering ourselves emotionally. Most people can't see the masks that we wear. They are internal and not on a mental level, but on a emotional level. And these masks that we put on that basically are the dampering element. They are the barrier between us being able to connect emotionally in a fulfilling way. And it's almost like, trying to hear something with really thick, headphones on. It's going to be muffled. It's going to, you can't quite make out what is being said. And it's the same thing with masking and your emotional core. The more layers of masking that have come on, that you've put on to hide your authentic self, and these layers of masking can be working at a job that does nothing for you emotionally. You do not feel fulfilled in any capacity except for the fact that you are meeting what your mind states you need to do to make X amount of money, or to be seen as whatever in society. Or this can be you masking, you truly expressing yourself in a relationship, or you masking yourself even in friendships. And that allows you to get further and further away from being able to tap into your intuition, which is your emotional core. And so you can't really, it becomes fuzzy as to, well, where's that dividing line between me and my original self and the masks, the layers of masking that I put on that now look like myself. How do I know how far to go back? How do I know what layers are mine and what layers are what I've created that are not mine? And that's really where this starts to come down to feeling into this cleansing element of looking back at all those points in your life from the childhood forward where you were hurt, where you felt that you had to hide a part of yourself, or that you told yourself, I'll never do that again. Or that part of yourself that goes into work every day and feels totally detached, that when you think about what you do, you have no emotional connection to it. Or staying in a partnership where you realize you can't be yourself. And that even if you show yourself, there's that element that there's still nothing coming through. There's no emotional tie to this relationship. Now, sometimes when relationships get to that point, taking action on your part to start to remove those layers and show yourself as authentic, that's really where you can re-engage with a partnership, with a partner on a dynamic way, and re-engage in an emotional connective way. So if that's something that you're experiencing, if as you realize you're moving through here and being open and receptive to really taking a look at those connective interactions in your life, and one of them is a partnership that you feel perhaps maybe you both are very well off, or you're both doing your own thing but you don't feel that connection. Well, as you move forward into here, taking action towards being you, stripping away those layers and really focusing on tapping into what feels good for me, then the action point, the courage point, is having that courage to quietly express this to your partner, or to start to express this in what you say no and yes to in this month. Perhaps you've always said yes to doing something that doesn't hold any value for you, and this month you're going to say no to that. And you're going to explain why. Because you know now that part of what you've been doing is not true to yourself. You can say, no, I don't feel like I want to. This could be anything. Maybe you've taken up Sunday afternoon bike rides with your significant other because that's what they like to do. Or you've joined a club with them to do something because that's what they like to do. But in reality, this is using precious time for you to follow or start a new creative endeavor, or a new hobby, or even a job. Or it could be something as simple as you just really want to take a nap. And that right now is more authentic to getting you to the place of health and well-being, and a better sense of just who you are because you're well rested, than if you were to say yes to going to that long Sunday afternoon bike ride with your partner. But being able to have a why behind that, to be able to say, I really would like to have my Sundays Biking is really something that I know you're passionate about, and I would still like to share in that. But I really, for the next, few weeks, would like to use this time to just rest, meditate, take a nap. Or I really want to take up, I don't want to bicycle, I want to play tennis. Or I want to learn how to play the piano. And I'm going to dedicate my time to that because music has always resonated with me, and I forgot how important it was when I walked away from that when I was 20 or whatever. But being able to express it in a way that shows who you are and why you're doing it with your significant other. And that could be the same thing at work. This can be, instead of you just up and quitting a job, it could be something as simple as realizing you're just in the wrong role, or you would prefer to do this type of work, and you can go and you can talk with your supervisor, or you can talk with other people on your team and say, I've always been interested in doing this. This is more of my talent, or more what comes easy to me. I'd really like to see how I can change my position to be able to do more of this. And this is why. And then trust that this is going to get you one step closer to being at a place of peace and where you're meant to be. Now, again, because we know that this can be harder than said, your final piece of information here, your advice, is just ask. And it says, there are many here in the spirit world that can assist you at this time. We are made up of the divine source, your loved ones, friends, guides, angels, and spirit helpers who are waiting to assist you. We are your spiritual team, and all you have to do is ask for our help and guidance. And this is showing that you are surrounded by help. And the more that you choose to be yourself, and this is something that I've realized in my own personal life and in my own personal journey, from going from a place of disconnection to a place of engaged connection, is the more that you show who you are authentically, the more you realize that there are people out there who are rooting for you, who want to help you. And the more authentic you are, the more you're going to draw in people who resonate with you specifically. And oftentimes when we're kind of going through this element and we're trying to figure out how to take a course of action, make a decision in our own best interest, we don't always ask for advice. Now, it's not saying that you have to ask for advice, but it's more about realizing you're not alone. And especially bringing in the energy of the month of June, which is the number 2 and the number of connection. Every time we make a decision and we take a course of action, it does affect other people. That's a given. That's how you bring your internal world into connection with the external world. And that's the beauty of our ability to be able to do that we don't live in a vacuum or live on a deserted island by ourselves. We get to allow people to enjoy us as much as we can enjoy their own uniqueness as well. And so really this is, pointing to, if you feel that you're stuck, then or if you feel that you need help in stepping forward as yourself, this can be something as simple as even just asking your significant other, I need help with showing this part of myself, and this is why will you help me? Or if you are more spiritual, religious, finding a way to connect with spirit guides, finding a way to even connect with ancestors that have passed on, praying. This is a great way to really, through your prayer and with intent and with conscious intent, again, you're taking action here, to sit there and put forward, I need help in doing blah, blah, blah. So let's say as you start to kind of realize certain aspects about perhaps your, connections to others, and you're like, I need help in expressing myself in this way. Well, when you sit down to meditate or you sit down to pray at the end of the night or whatever you choose to do that is, of a more spiritually connecting part of your day, that's where then you ask, I would like help being able to express this part of myself. I would like help to have the courage to show this part of myself to others, and to allow me to be open enough and receptive enough to how others are going to interact and respond in me showing my true self. And then here at the very end, we have trust the niggle. What is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? And this is beautiful because this is really tapping back into the intuition and the trusting. There is something here. There is something that as you start to tap in and start to remove the layers, there's something here that is you're starting to feel. As you remove those layers and you remove that buffer between you and your emotional core and being able to understand what really feels good for you or feels right for you, that you're going to tap into something here. This is telling me you kind of already know. You already kind of get a feeling of what that is, what that part of yourself is that you've hidden away, what that part of yourself is that's kind of you've put it aside and you haven't been able to emotionally tap into. And this is where when you start to trust your intuition and you stop and you start to really sit with yourself, this is where this comes through with an answer. And you'll get that quiet sense of, yes, that's it. Do it. Now I'm going to read the two messages here for attachment, for any extra messages that want to come through. So attachment, perceived need and the choice to let go. In the upright position, this card reveals that your passage forward is being stopped by strong attachments to old patterns or people from the past. The chain at your wrist is bolted to fear from the past or desperation about the future. Although you may wear the mask of pretense or even contentment, you simply can't seem to go forward. The stuff that's keeping you stuck could be physical addictions, emotional patterns, or even old relationships. Are you living in fear? Addicted to old, unhealthy habits? Or so desperate about the future that you can't be happy now? If so, the chains that bind you could be of your own making. This card is telling you that it's time to take the action you need to break out of your chains and move forward to an open, free, healthy, and authentically happy life. It may take some courage and effort to let go, but know that you are capable of doing it. Until you do, the difficult energy will just repeat itself, keeping you stuck. And that is exactly this, what attachment is. And that's the beauty here. If you're able to really release these attachments to a version of yourself that is not authentic, that element that I had described earlier, that kind of almost sandpaper-like, wear, is going to be released. You're going to be liberated from that feeling of frustration and anxiety even. This is really where the seed of anxiety comes from, because we're too afraid to take action. And so we sit in this place of like, should I? What's going to happen? What if? Instead of just feeling into it and realizing that there is a path for us. But that path comes from us making choices based on our emotional connection to ourselves. Now the temple path. If I can find it here. Okay, the temple path. Spiritual purpose and support. Receiving this card represents your own spiritual evolution. The winding path you are on leads to a blessed temple and a lovely garden, symbolizing the spiritual destiny your soul has had in mind for this lifetime. This card upright is here to tell you that what you're going through now is all part of your soul's process. You are on your karmic path and heading in the right direction, and the choices you make now are important for your personal growth and life lessons. The lights around the temple represent the spirit world, your family members and friends, angels and guides, all the loving spirit helpers who long to assist you. Call upon them and be open to their wisdom and inspiration. This is a wonderful, life-expanding time, so keep in mind your personal priorities as well as your spiritual connection. Following your higher intentions will help you move your life forward in dramatic ways, and connecting with spirit and your higher self will have a wonderful influence on all that you experience. And I think that just sums this up beautifully, that there are people here to help, be it in the physical or in the spiritual world, but that the more that you connect to your authentic self and have the courage to act from that place, the more you connect with spirit, with the greater all, with your environment, with the unknown, and you unlock that almost view of your path. You get to realize the best parts of yourself in this world, and you get to share them with others. Now, moving into contemplation, we have patience. Oh gosh, most people do not like patience. I am not a patient person myself. It is a lesson I have had to learn many times over, but it is an important one. Patience, and when you look at this card, it looks almost like, actually kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have seen the movies that are based on the Narnia books, but of the Winter Queen. But when you look at this, this is a angel in winter holding a clock. And during winter, this is a time when things are frozen, when things seem to stand still, when growth, external growth seems to have stopped. But we all know from living in our world, even though it appears that way, that is not actually what's happening. So below the surface, there's still life. And oftentimes it is these moments of frozen, cold, needing to kind of pull back, that allow something to end up bursting forth in spring that much more virulent, beautiful, robust. But we needed that kind of time to allow for the nutrients to kind of sink in and for everything to kind of come to a place of calm, and then it's ready to come forward. And that's really what that lesson of patience is. And when we think about contemplation here, and that this is the element of reflection and integration, also where education comes in. So this is where we're educating ourselves. I speak a lot about the concept of self-education. That yes, there are higher forms of education, and we do need to have, basic education for things like writing and arithmetic, and if you're going to be a doctor, you need to know science and things like that. But there is this element that we always need to be self-educating. We can't put our education on the external. We can't say, well, I didn't know that. It's up to us to take the personal responsibility that comes with contemplation to teach ourselves, to constantly be trying to gain more information, whether this is through Google, whether this is through continuing to read, continuing to find ways to keep you engaged with clubs or organizations that teach you a new skill. This is really where that comes into play. And it is the seat of learning. If we do not integrate if we do not contemplate and integrate, then truly we're not learning, because we're not bringing forward lessons from actions taken, and we're not then kind of putting that into our reservoir of knowledge, so to speak. So patience here with contemplation, coming up for you guys this month, really shows me that, especially tapping into right here, this take a moment, stop, now is not the time to rush into something. This is showing me that you probably have been patient up until this point. It may not have felt that way, because when we get to a point where we feel frustrated or we have that element of anxiety, we feel like we have been kind of spinning our wheels. We feel like we've been trying to do stuff. But in reality, we have been patient. We have kind of let time just go by. And now, really, this is where, coming into contemplation, where has your life felt frozen? What part of yourself have you left dormant? That now, in releasing old attachments and peeling back the layers of masking that you've put on, what is ready to come through? And your 2 cards of advice are listen and embrace the moment. And I love this card. I love rainbows in general, but embrace the moment is I just like the message on this one. But listen. So it says, you have to be willing to listen if you want to really understand someone. Now is not the time to be offering advice, but to be a compassionate listener. To listen fully and intently means to pay attention, not just to what's being said, but to what lies beneath the words. And that's interesting because when you think about kind of a frozen landscape in winter, there's a lot going on under the surface. We could see a frozen lake or river, but a lot of times the water's still flowing underneath. There's still fish, there's still life moving on. And if we were to really listen, we could hear that. And I feel like this is kind of tapping into allowing you to get to that place of stillness, allowing you to get to that place where perhaps as well, looking at connection, where as you start to express yourself, really stop and look at how this is affecting your connective relationships with others, be it with your significant other, be it with friendships, be it with work partnerships. And this really comes down to you being open. Okay, I'm starting to express myself. And in the past, perhaps I have left a part of myself dormant. Now, let me really be open to listening to others, seeing how others respond to me. And in addition to that, kind of listening to yourself. What is going on underneath the surface? And then we have embrace the moment. Embrace this day, this very moment. Think positively today and repel those negative thoughts. Try not to judge yourself or others. This may be harder than you think. What is actually happening is that you're changing your energy. And there is this element of try not to judge yourself and others. I look at, patience with this. Embrace the moment means it's time. It's time to be present. It's time to be engaged as yourself. This isn't about worrying about the future and the what if I do this and this will be the reaction. It's about right now slowing down. You've already waited this long to show these parts of yourself. But now it's time to understand that, yes, it's time for the sun to come out and things to thaw and for you to show this part of yourself. And it is time, but that we have to think positively. And the releasing of judgment is important in this because we judge ourselves just as harshly as we judge others. And as we start to show who we are authentically, oftentimes we get worried that somebody else is going to judge us. And in reality, if we just have faith that in being us, when we have faith in allowing them to be them, that the beauty of that is that we all fulfill our own needed role. And we don't have to try to control or judge who they are or what they're doing, or be consumed with worrying about, again, their actions, even their reactions. This is more about you focusing on yourself and to not judge yourself and to release judgment of others at the same time. So then that's the faith component. I have faith that I can be who I am meant to be, just as I have faith that that person over there can be who they're meant to be. And I can just release that burden of worrying about what somebody else is doing, of worrying about how somebody else might react to me, and liberate myself just to live my path, just to live as me. And when we do that, that's where the awakening comes from. These are the energetic upgrades, and this is a new way of being. You are integrating that lesson here. You are integrating the ability to tap a little deeper. And when you start to show yourself and you start to come from taking courageous action from that place of faith in yourself and in others, this is where empathy comes in. This is where you're really able to start to see others as much as you start to see yourself. Because now you're connecting freely and you're excited and you're open to each connection that you come in contact with. And again, if you can release that judgment on the other person and know they're living their own life and trying to do exactly what you're doing as well, trying to live as authentically in and of themselves as you are, the beauty of that is that the hope in acting in faith in that way is that you will attract those that support you and you will fill your role as that puzzle piece. And the other puzzle pieces that fit around you are what you were always meant to attract. And the ones that don't are the ones that were never meant to be around you to begin with. And you can release any type of fear or judgment or wonder about those people. And I think that this is kind of one of the hardest lessons to learn is patience with other people as well, not just with ourselves. That not everybody's on the same path. We all have our own individual path. And we have to act from that. But they also have to act from theirs. And a lot of people that I encounter, but also myself included at one point, are so focused on trying to control the outcome of something or how they're seen, and so they try to control somebody else. And the reality of it is we cannot control somebody else. The only thing that we can control in this life is our own choice to act. And that can be not even a physical act. That can be our choice to change our perspective of something. And in doing so, that is taking action. And bringing that into, integration, and the lesson learned here is that sometimes it's just us changing our perspective on other people and bringing forward that openness to the fact that each person is an individual can be enough to liberate us and open ourselves up to community, to being able to have the faith to reach out and connect with people and ask for help as needed, and to also be able to trust that you're on your path as much as somebody else is on theirs. This is a beautiful reading for the month of June, Taurus. To kind of just do a quick recap of everything. And actually, I realized I didn't even read the message for patience. So let's just get one final message here for that. All right, so patience. Peaceful presence, letting go, desperation. This card shows a beautiful angel holding a clock in the stillness of winter. Her quiet, peaceful energy is telling you that it's time to release the old urgency and to look at things with a much clearer perspective. When this card is upright, it's telling you to relax and let go of the single-minded desperation that's been driving you. Don't try to force your will on only one option. When you think there's only one solution to satisfy your need or to make you happy, you're blocking many other potential solutions from coming your way. Let go of the anxiety and be flexible. Be patient, open, and creative. Choose to be peaceful in the present. The universe has more options than you may be aware of. Quiet your mind, broaden your perspective, and let them come through. And I think that that's a beautiful message here, is that, really focusing on kind of what I brought up in just this last little point here is you can choose to change our perspective. And how do we do that? By listening, by opening up to others. sometimes we can see ourselves most clearly in another. And that ties back to your relationship, all your relationships, the I versus the we. So this month, to stay curious, and what destiny is kind of telling you here is that you have relationships in your life that are going to bring in abundance, but you're going to have to believe and stay open to every single relationship that you come in contact with, that this is going to be beneficial to you. This is going to help unlock who you are and help get you ready to unmask yourself and to start making choices on something that I believe is you're already sitting with on an emotional level, but your mind has been blocking it. The negative thoughts from past hurts have been blocking it. And if you stay open and you realize that, you can stay open to other people and other people who may have different perspectives from you, other people that you may have in the past judged and so held yourself back from either sharing who you are or allowing them to be fully who they are, that if you open yourself up to the beauty of their experience, it will allow you and help unlock you to be able to do the same. This is going to be a very powerful month for you, Taurus. I look forward, and if you want to at any point, feel free to leave comments below as to, in this month, what you've discovered. What's that part of yourself that you've kept hidden that now you're going to start to act upon? And even by the end of the month, what you've learned about yourself in relationship to others. If you, again, would like to book a one-on-one personal reading with me or a one-on-one coaching session, please feel free to click the link in the below. There's also a link to my Patreon page where, again, there is every month what I call an additional message, an additional reading that takes what we see here, but we go one step further and we take a look at love, we take a look at abundance, and we take a look at emotional connection and spiritual health, and take a look at what blocks are coming up in those areas and how you can help navigate and overcome those, along with additional materials. So I will have guided meditations and then videos pertaining specifically to the energies of each month and exercises that you can go through to help start to answer that question, that I am question. And when I say that I am question, that really means if you were to be asked today to answer that question, to stand up in front of people and proudly state, I am, and then have it can be a short word or a whole descriptive, paragraph stating who you are, to really be able to help you answer that so that as you go through your day-to-day, you can engage as that person from that place of self-education. All right, Taurus, have a wonderful June, and I look forward to seeing everybody back here in July. Bye.